Hey y'all, it is March the 3rd, 2019. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to be kind of brief. We could go on for a long time about it, and I'm sure that we will. But I wanted to be kind of brief and share something with y'all in case if you didn't know. Maybe you do. Alright, maybe you heard of this before. I gotta let you know, I hadn't the slightest clue. Alright, about what it is I'm about to tell you about. Now later on, I probably am going to take this video and illustrate it, show you pictures, show you articles and things of this nature, so that you really get a vision of what it is I'm talking about. Until then, you're probably just going to have to take my word for it. Alright? So here, I wanted to start off by reminding you about something we talked about earlier. A little while back, a few days ago, we talked about a young man named Benjamin Bogart. Right, you might not have heard of him. Kind of was national news. They said Benjamin Bogart that the FBI caught him up. Like the FBI was investigating him and stuff. Homeland Security or I don't know. People were investigating Benjamin Bogart from out of New Braunfels, Texas. That's just a little tiny ways northeast of here from San Antonio, and they were investigating him, all right? And I'm going to make a very long story short. While investigating Benjamin Bogart, because they thought he was maybe going to shoot everybody up or blow everything up, while they were investigating him, they found out some stuff, all right? And they arrested him about it. Now, the thing is, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's not true. I do know that it's none of my business. But the news, they like to gossip. That's the whole... they like to gossip and accuse people. And that is the entire purpose of most of the newspapers you ever seen in your life. Okay, so they said Benjamin Bogart got caught up. All right, they said they had reason to believe, the authorities, they had reason to believe that Benjamin Bogart, not only was he planning to maybe shoot everybody up, at any random place, at any random moment. All right, not only that, but they caught him with child pornography on his cell phone. All right, and just to be real brief about that story, you can look up everything I'm telling you right now. All right, you're gonna see I didn't make any of it up. If anybody made it up, it wasn't me. All right, so what happens is they're investigating Bogart. They end up showing up at Bogart's home, or wherever they find him. They say, hey man, can we look at your, we need to take a look at that cell phone, all right? And this is before they knew about the child pornography, all right? So imagine this situation. You got a Benjamin Bogart. I don't know him from Adam. He's just some random guy, all right? They're investigating him. They knock on his door, whatever it is. They say, hey, we're investigating you. We need to see that cell phone on you. We heard that you were, maybe talking about this and that. You were saying some things and we're investigating you. So give over that cell phone. All right. What Benjamin Bogart does immediately, apparently, according to articles, is he gives the cell phone to them. Just freely gives it to them. Says, here you go. Please don't hurt me, basically. They find the child pornography on the phone, which none of that makes any sense. All right. Because if the young man did have child pornography on his phone, he probably wouldn't just be handing it over to you. All right, he'd say, "Oh, I don't know, I don't have a cell phone." Blah blah blah. He would know it's on his cell phone. All right. So the story goes that allegedly, supposedly, Benjamin Bogart gives up his cell phone, and the authorities find the child pornography on there. Bing bang boom, he's in the jail. All right, and this happened maybe a couple weeks ago, something like that. All right. At first, it was making some headlines, and it was in articles, and they were talking about, oh, this judge, there's a certain judge, and he's going to release Benjamin Bogart, all right, on bail until trial, until his next court hearing. That would be March the 6th. They were going to release him, let him out on home arrest and stuff like that. He's going to be banned from the internet, all right? Right, and a lot of people were very upset by that, because if he is supposedly a child molester and a mass shooter to boot, all right, it doesn't make any sense why we'd give him bail. It doesn't make any sense. So a judge came maybe a few days later and said, Benjamin Bogart can't get no bail. All right, it's just not going to happen. He has to stay in jail till March 6th, and that's in a few days. All right, so that kind of covers Benjamin Bogart. All right. I'll show you this video real quick. I'm about to show it to you. You're probably not going to find it on YouTube. All right, just to let you know, it's going to be a hard find. So you might be checking out the exclusive. Me and the Daily Beast, we got the exclusive for you. So here's the video.
Then what you got to do is pull out your shotgun, get to the side of the road, pump that shit open, point it at them, and pull the trigger. The only right they deserve is the right of lead. Hail Hitler.
All right, you're going to have to take my word for it. But on that video, all right, statistically speaking, I'm just going by statistics. All right, this is San Antonio and surrounding areas, new brothels and stuff. All right, statistically speaking, that video that you're seeing right there, that was a joke. All right, I know a lot of people probably wouldn't believe it. They think, no, that little boy is dead serious. He's about to shoot everybody up. All right, doesn't make any sense. You realize that it was a joke. He's mentioning Mexicans, number one, and women and minorities, and just shooting up everybody. Probably was a joke. All right, more than likely. If you don't believe me, come to San Antonio and surrounding areas and try to be a white supremacist. All right, see if anybody supports. Like, I mean, the unbelievable amount of brown people, number one. And then secondly, everybody else here who's not brown, they love brown people, all right? It's going to be hard. You're going to be hard-pressed to get any sort of popularity. But apparently that's what Benjamin Bogart was doing. Now, his lawyer explains this all misunderstanding that what he was being is a, quote, edgelord, which is a word that I never heard of before until he said it. He said Benjamin Bogart was just trying to be an edgelord. And as you can assume, that basically means, oh, well, he's just trying to be edgy and stuff on the internet, like a troll. And in fact, he was probably making fun, like doing a parody of people like who pretty much don't exist, all right? So they take that little video clip, they show it to you, they say, oh, look, he's a monster. There's no way that this is a joke. All right, and what they do is they totally, like everybody else, they delete your social media presence off the earth. They swipe it off the earth. You no longer existed. Right? And everything that they want to show the public, like this little clip, for example, oh, they'll show the public. They'll show them 100 million times. But anything else, whatever context surrounding this video that could have been a joke and probably was, that's disappeared, buddy. That's gone. And guess what? You're in jail and you don't get bond. And guess what? You don't get to say a word. And guess what? We're going to smear you all over the public. And no, it's not going to make sense, but that's what we do. That's what we do. Benjamin Bogart is literally up in this position right now. He's in jail right now. All right? And no, you're not going to hear a mumbling word from him. All right. That being said, I don't want to make this too long, but I did some research in that whole situation. And if you did any research in that situation, you might have heard of a certain group. It's a hate group that you probably never heard of before in your life. It's called Atomwaffen, right? It's called Atomwaffen. And it's spelled like A-T-O-M, like atom bomb, and Waffen, like waffle, but with an N. Atomwaffen. All right, it's supposed to be a German word. In fact, it's supposed to be German for atomic weapons. All right. It's absolutely not popular. I've never ever heard of it. And so I was doing research about it. They said, "Oh, they got a San Antonio chapter." Really? I'd never ever heard of it. All right, so they're not making any moves. They're not popular at all, if they even exist. And I don't think that they do exist. I think the Atomwaffen division, and you can Google it, I think that's something like Al-Qaeda, and that it doesn't really exist. You just call them that. Just to be very brief about it, the only evidence that Atomwaffen division exists at all is through chat logs. That's the only evidence. And mind you, that isn't any evidence. That doesn't prove anything. All right, but chat logs, that's the only evidence, because you're not going to find any videos, you're not going to find any websites and things of this nature. I mean, it's just, if it does exist, it's very poorly done. It's a group called Atomwaffen. They're a hate group and blah, blah, blah. They're described by the SPLC and their little sister groups. All All right. If you caught those keywords, those people are describing Atomwaffen as this hate group, a genocidal hate group that wants to make, they're basically white nationalists and national socialists, basically Nazis. They're neo-Nazis and stuff. And if you were to listen to their name, apparently they want to make an atom bomb. Or, I mean, none of it makes sense, right? You're not going to do a genocide with an atom bomb. That doesn't make any sense. None of it does. I think it was all made up. It's this division called Atomwaffen Division, all right? And apparently, I can't even believe it, but apparently they have a chapter in San Antonio, the most unpopular thing that was ever heard of. In fact, I don't think it exists. But I was doing research on it, and there's a lot of stuff you can find about, like I said, you got SPLC and whatever group wants to be just like them, and they're going to come on the internet and tell you all about Atomwaffen and the controversy surrounding Atomwaffen, a group you never ever heard of. All right, and basically talk about how they're super alt-right, that some of the alt-right people can't even handle them. They might be satanic, they might be this and that. They'll talk there. You'll see articles about how they're involved with 5 different separate murders. They were on a murder spree. Atomwaffen Division is known, I guess, by some people as going on a murder spree. They're responsible for 5 different murders, all in a quick succession of time. Meanwhile, there's no evidence of that at all. Not even in the slightest. I saw one murder where a 20-year-old guy, killed another 20-year-old guy, and probably they were having a homosexual rendezvous. I'm being honest with you. This is what I read. Probably they were having a homosexual rendezvous in a park, and it went bad, and one of them got stabbed up. And they were like, oh, well, this is connected to Atomwaffen, the Atomwaffen Division, obviously. All right, and I know I'm just talking gibberish at this point, but I'm looking and I'm researching and I'm finding out things. I'm like, well, who's the leader? Where can I find? Like, I'm looking for websites. I'm looking for YouTube videos. I'm looking for just anything, any sort of documentation. No, I couldn't find it. Couldn't find it at all. But like I said, there's certain groups like the SPLC and there's a Pro Publica or some BS, and they were keeping close attention to Atomwaffen and letting everybody know this is about to sweep the nation. In fact, they were saying they called Atomwaffen the most notorious hate group in America, and they're taking over. I know you probably never heard of them, but they're taking over. They're everywhere. They're everywhere you can think of, right? All right, and they describe some of the leaders. Now, right now, currently, there's a leader, and his nickname is Rape. I forget what his... I believe his real name is John Denton or something like that, from Conroe, Texas. Whether or not this young man even exists, I don't know. He may or may not exist. And maybe he does exist, and maybe he's being targeted in an extreme fashion, right? This young man by the name of Rape supposedly is in all sort of chat rooms. Meanwhile, you'll never see a video of him saying anything. All right, but that's the leader of Atomwaffen. Or that's one of the big guys from Atomwaffen, as you could tell. He's a big, mean guy. You don't want to mess with this guy, all right? I'm here to tell you, all right, Atomwaffen's nothing to play with. But, okay, the previous guy before him, that guy actually, he was from out of, I think, Central Florida or South Florida, if that rings a bell for anybody. All right, previous guy. And his name was Brandon Russell. You can Google all this. Brandon Russell's actually in prison right now. And you'd say, oh, well, that's typical. It's Atomwaffen. It's a whole bunch of rebels without a cause. Of course he's going to be in jail. Yes, he is in jail. He's in jail right now. And he should be in jail for maybe a couple more years at least. So what did Brandon Russell get caught up? Why is he in jail right now? Okay, the reason why Brandon Russell's in jail right now is because the police found, and the story's going to take a wild turn, and I'm going to end the story as quick as possible. The police found in Brandon Russell's residence, they found not a bomb, but implements that could very well make a bomb. That's what they found. All right, Brandon Russell wound up pleading guilty to it, as you might assume, and so they slapped him with 5 years in the jail, in the prison. All right, and he's currently serving that, Brandon Russell. Right, and okay, so You might be wondering yourself, well, how did the authorities find out Brandon Russell? How did they find out that he had implements to make explosives in his residence? That you're asking that if you never heard of it. Maybe you have heard of this story. Okay, I'll let you know. According to the official story, they found implements that make explosives, that could make explosive, possibly in Brandon Russell's residence. All right. The reason that they found those implements is because Brandon Russell himself was snitched out. All right. And I believe it was by his roommate. Okay. And his roommate's name is Devin Arthurs. All right. Devin Arthurs snitched out Brandon Russell, said, hey, this guy's got implements up in the residence, and y'all better go check it out and see what's going on. They checked it out, found it, put Brandon in prison. Okay, well, who's Devin Arthurs? Well, Devin Arthurs, like I said, he's the roommate of Brandon Russell. And just so that you know, there was a house, and they were renting it, I guess. There's 4 people, okay? 4. One's Brandon Russell. One's Devin Arthurs. The 2 other ones, I forget their name, and I'm so sorry about that. But I forget their name right now. They had 2 other roommates, like I said, total of 4 in a house. They're renting a house, all right? Okay, here's how the story goes. Brandon Russell comes home one day, and he's off. He'd gone out of town or something. He's with the National Guard, so he went and did some duty or whatever, came back. When Brandon Russell comes back to the house over there in Florida, he finds his 2 roommates, besides Devin Arthur, Devin Arthur's not to be found. He finds his 2 roommates shot to death, shot up in their head, and who knows where else. Right? Finds them that way, dead and obliterated. Finds his roommates that way. Okay, and so when they come across Brandon Russell, he's actually crying on the sidewalk. He's very, I don't know who could blame him for that. He's very shook up by it. He's in all sort of tears, as you can imagine. Imagine you walked in the house, found 2 of your roommates just blown to bits. That's what happened to Brandon Russell, okay? So he gets there. He's quite upset about it, all right? Turns out Devin Arthurs is one that shot up all the roommates. In fact, he admits to it, all right? The reason Devin Arthurs gives for shooting up his roommates is that all his roommates, to include Brandon Russell and to include himself, they all used to be a part of a white supremacist nationalist group that's sweeping the nation. It's called Atomwaffen. Some reports say that there's 80 whole people in the entire country that are part of Atomwaffen. And actually, most reports say it's more like 20 to 30 across all of America. People that's members of Atomwaffen. Now, that number right there is probably made up, but that's the best that they can do, 20 or 30. All right. Okay, he says, all 4 of us right there, we were a stronghold over there in Florida. We were holding it down for the white supremacy group Atomwaffen when Devin Arthurs decides, and they don't give a timeline, don't you even worry about it, but he decides for some reason to convert to Islam. All right, and I know that came out of freaking nowhere, but somehow this white supremacy and Islam, somehow they're always finding themselves, right? So Devin Arthurs, he submits to Islam. He becomes Islamic. That's how the story goes. His 2 white supremacist roommates, I guess they were cool with that for a long time, but one day they were making fun, and this is according to Devin Arthurs. They said his 2 white supremacist roommates started making fun of Islam. All right. So naturally, Devin Arthurs pulled out the gat, started blasting him in the head. That's exactly what happened. He admits to it. All right. So take all that in. All right. Totally murders his roommates, leaves out. They want to find him later or whatever. All right. When they find Devin Arthurs, who's a recently turned Islam fanatic, who used to be a white supremacist just maybe a few weeks ago. When they find him, Devin Arthurs says, hey, yeah, I know I just murdered everybody. I know it's a bloody nightmare that I left, a trail of just unimaginable carnage. I know that happened, but he told the authorities, he said, but look, what's really serious is that we were part of Atomwaffen at one point, and Brandon Russell still is part of Atomwaffen. So he said, y'all need to go to the residence, and you're going to find that Brandon Russell not only has implements that could possibly make a bomb, but he also has a framed picture, and I'm not making this up, of Timothy McVeigh, if I'm not mistaken, a framed picture on his dresser, all right, just to prove how much of a white supremacist terrorist he is. There's no way that Brandon Russell could have got set up for any of that. Not at all. Not at all. Devin Arthur is obviously, there's no way that he could have set him up, all right? But he told the authorities found the bomb-making implements. They found a framed picture of Timothy McVeigh on Brandon Russell's dresser, and guess what? Brandon Russell goes to prison. You don't hear from him, you ain't never going to hear from him, all right? That's how the story goes. This is Atomwaffen, a group that very well might not even exist. All right. However, you should be so terrified by them that you can't sleep at night. Anyways, it's March the 3rd, 2019. I appreciate y'all. I'll holler at y'all a little bit later.